like what makes I don't know how to phrase it, like what is it, just a certain time, like where something just switches on where you decide you want to be in a relationship? Is there a reason that makes a guy want to be in a relationship, or is it just a case of being ready, or is it a case of finding the right person that makes them want to be in a relationship? Like how does that work for a guy?
Yeah. Generally speaking, timing is very important. And it's very rare for a guy to not be for him to be single and not ready for a relationship.
Right.
Then he meets a girl and that makes him go, I want to be in a relationship now.
Right, okay.
Because a lot of the time, if a guy's not ready for a relationship, but he looks at a woman, is like, oh, she's relationship material. When I'm ready, she's definitely the kind of woman I'd want to be with.
Yeah.
He would not pursue it with her until he's ready.
Yeah.
Right? Which is when girls will experience like a guy comes back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, sometimes a guy's coming back, if there was like a situationship and they're just having fun, sometimes he's coming back to see if he can have some more fun. Or sometimes he's coming back because he's ready for something serious and he's always thought this is the kind of woman.
Yeah.
But timing is generally quite important.
Yeah, that is definitely something I've noticed. Like I feel for a guy, they have like certain ticks that they want to do in their life and maybe don't want a distraction or want to get to a certain place in life before they feel like they can entertain a relationship. So, I have noticed that.
Yeah, I think you can tell me what you think as well, but I think a lot of men feel that the standards women ask for in a man is a lot higher than what it used to be.
Yeah.
And so the things that a lot of women ask for, it takes men a lot longer to acquire and get to that point where he is that kind of man. So he's like, well, if I can't be the kind of man I want to be in a relationship, I'm going to wait until I am and then pursue a relationship. And I think a lot of girls are like, but we can build together, or I don't know, you tell me. I mean, do these girls want to build together? I don't know.
I don't know.
Categorically,
no. Like I'm doing my own thing, and then like you can add to that. I think, do you know, before, I don't know, like this era, obviously that was the way of the world back in the day. You know, a woman would be at home, she'd be the housewife looking after kids, while the man was like the predominant provider, and you know, he'd look after a woman. And then, you know, we've transitioned into this 50-50 equality and stuff like that, which I'm like, each their own, but I see it from a different perspective. I always felt like women, which is great to have your independence, you know, like some people weren't able to do and ended up being stuck in things that they shouldn't have been in because they had no financial independence. But I do feel it was a way to make like two people pay taxes in one household. But anyway, that's another thing.
Very true.
So we've transgressed to where it's 50-50 now, and you kind of expect your partner to bring the same thing, and it's like two people doing that in one household or whatever. And I think sometimes that translates to like having a roommate. It feels different, whereas I think that was the way, and then we've moved on from that, and then we're now perhaps leaning back towards that, which I don't think's bad, but maybe, as I said, on social media it puts such a high bar for that it comes across unrealistic.
I think, if I'm gonna be honest, I think most households need two incomes nowadays. Most need two. Obviously women have equality, as they should. You know, they're earning, and actually women under the age of 30 out earn their male counterparts now. I think since 2015. It's the first time it's ever happened in history.
Wow.
So women are doing very well. And so I think a lot of guys, especially in the younger generation, they're like, well, why should I be the provider when you're earning anyway? Like, we can go 50-50. But then if a woman's like, no, I'm the kind of woman that I like a guy to take on the majority of the financial burden of the relationship, because it's a lot harder to do that today. If a guy gets to that point, a lot of the time being in a relationship with him then comes with things that a lot of women don't necessarily want. Which is like, okay, maybe he wants to quote unquote exercise options. Or maybe, I don't know, he does expect, okay, well, you know, when I'm home, I expect you to prioritize us and being with me over your work or something. Do you know what I mean? Have you ever experienced that?
No, I mean, for me, I think I'd have a different approach. I definitely appreciate a generous man. And I know the territory, the territory that comes with that obviously is working and stuff like that. But I think that's where it comes down to having a maturity and just like understanding that is life, whether they were generous or not, or you were 50-50. Ideally, you'd both be out working and it would be the same kind of time frame that you're not really seeing each other, whether that's I'm at home or not. So I definitely appreciate that. And then I think it's just having your own like having your own life. Like I think when you start to get annoyed that somebody isn't at home a lot, or they're not giving you as much time, or perhaps traveling a lot because of work, I think if you're not fulfilling your own life, that's when you can sit around and go, oh, I'm bored, what are they doing? Like, you know, so I think it does depend on the individual and what growth you do in yourself. And then to the point of exercising in other places, broke, rich, generous, or whatever, I think people do that anyway. So it's
do you think a lot of guys can do that?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's
That they have
definitely
the
something
options to.
I've seen it in all walks of life. I really have. Like, that's come from my job in hospitality. I see a lot of men, you know, corporate men will check in, and sometimes with their points from the hotel, they'll come and stay and bring their family, but that's not the same woman that I saw during the week. I've seen that several times.
Yeah. I guess that's different though, because those are quite successful men.
No, yeah, but I've even seen it in, okay, let's say not successful people. I don't know, maybe they're intimidated by the woman. They feel better going off elsewhere. I do.
Intimidated by which woman?
If, like, I've noticed if they've got a successful woman, or I don't know, a very, very attractive woman, sometimes I've seen men will go and cheat. I don't know, maybe it makes them feel better, but I don't think there really has to be a reason. I just think if an opportunity is presented, people take it.
Do you think women are the same?
Women were emotionally attached to men. I think, yeah, I'm not saying that women don't cheat and they don't do things like that, but in order to do something, you know, like that, you have to be emotionally checked out from that person.
Yeah. I agree.
Whereas I think with a man, it's a need. Not necessarily, there isn't. You can have a loving wife at home who you'll protect and provide.
Yes.
But something else might tickle your fancy, and that's it. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean you love your wife any less. That's just it. And that's the difference I see. And I think if people don't realise that, it's a bit naive. I'm not saying every man does that, and that's like, you know, you get men that absolutely won't do that. But from what I've seen, that's what I've witnessed a lot everywhere.
Yeah. I think that desire, like you said, is independent of how much he's into his woman or wife, and whether he exercises that or not, and it's consensual. That's you know, that's for every person to define for themselves.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something? Do you think that's a difficult reality for a lot of women to understand?
Oh, for sure. I think people really get hung up on that. I'm not saying like I'd welcome it or warrant it. I just think if you're stupid enough to get caught, that's on you. But I wouldn't trouble myself worrying about that, because I'd see like loyalty comes in different forms. Like if loyalty to me is, example, if we had children and you're a good dad and you're a good husband, and you know you're generous with me, I have an emotional safe space with you, and
he's present.
Yeah, present. And I'm generally, if I wasn't aware of that, and just say generally in my life, I'm happy as can be. That's loyalty to me, and a man isn't going to give that kind of loyalty to everybody.
Very true. Yeah. In fact, only one at a time he'd ever do that.
Of course, yeah, and that's a bit, for me, that's what a loyalty from a man is, and that to me trumps anything, you know. So
it's interesting, because I think a lot of guys will be nodding their heads, being like they agree, especially if they're the kind of guy who's able to provide for a woman and give her that kind of life, etc. Why do you think you understand that so well, or you've got to that place where you can see it with this kind of lens that maybe a lot of other women maybe struggle to?
I guess life experience, obviously, naturally that plays a part. I'm very curious of people. I'm very interested in people, their mannerisms, their patterns, and you know, I'm a big people watcher, and I've always been in industries where I'm constantly around people in, like I said, all sorts of walks of life. So I definitely have picked up on patterns of people, and then, you know, similarly, like learning stuff, you know, you see certain things on social media and YouTube and hearing different perspectives. I'm very open to different perspectives, and I think if I've heard a perspective, I'll then go and maybe go collect my own data by just watching people and seeing
100%.
seeing what happens. And then I'm like, do you know what, that is actually true. I.e., for example, infidelity, naturally when I was young, and again, I'm not warranted and I wouldn't welcome it, but it was a big thing, and it'd be like, oh, this is awful, this is horrific, like, but actually it's so common, like it's not specific to, like, you know, myself or anyone else. It's just something I've seen a lot. And then when you weigh up the scale of things, it's like, well, like, do you know, does that make sense?
100%. Yeah. It's you know, if we take like athletes, like especially like NBA players or like footballers and stuff, when they're on the road, a lot of their wives know.
Yes, they do.
Like they know. They're like, I know he's out there doing his thing, but I'm the one with the ring. I'm the one who has his name. I'm the one with the kids. Like I have the title. Do you know what I mean?
Hope you really enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode where that clip is from, then I want you to click right here where you can watch the full episode. And if you're ready to claim your man today, enroll in my program below, and I'll see you there. Wishing you an amazing day.